This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So yesterday, I think we are about to create one of the Apex class, right? Today, let's create that. Okay. So maybe let's take one of the simple example. Let's say we have different shapes, right? Let's say there is a house, there is a plot. So we need to identify based on the measurements, right? When you say 30, 40, right? 30 feet length and 40 feet width, something like that. When you have so length and breadth, right? So how we calculate the perimeter of a rectangle? Okay, maybe it's not like a plot. So breadth means the thickness. So let's say there is a wood which is in the rectangle shape. We need to identify what is the area based on the width and based on the length. Okay. So we are just automating that instead of manually measuring and doing the manual calculation. Our program is going to accept the length and the breadth. By taking that, it will be calculating the area and the perimeter, all those things. Okay. So just let's create the class. There are different places. Okay. Ultimately, it's not a matter where you are creating. Okay. All the Apex classes, whatever we are going to create, will store in one of the database table called Apex class. Internally in Salesforce database, they maintain a table, Apex class table. All the classes, whatever we create, will store into that table. Okay. So now let's create. First, we create from here from setup. So left side, click on Apex class, create the class. So class is a plan, right? So nothing will happen, right? When you draw the plan of a building, or let's say there is a plan of the car. Let's say there is a car, Tesla car. The prototype, right? The plan, the design of the car on the paper, right? So that's just a plan. By following that, so by using some of the material, they have to build the car. They have to manufacture the car, right? In the same way, we are creating a class. That means we are planning. When exactly that will be coming into reality? When you create the object, right? When you have the car, then only we can open the door, we can start, we can accelerate, we can use it. So we have to think like that. Okay. So now we are creating this class. So once we log into Salesforce, once you click on Apex classes, left side search for Apex classes, click on new. Here we are creating. Okay. So now here I'm writing the class. So when we start writing the class, right, the program. So the program should start with class, right? So when we say car should have the car outer side body, right? So if the body is not there, everything is visible, which is inside the car, which is not good, right? So class is like a body. So it keep all the elements into that body. Okay. So class and the body is this. Here we keep all the elements. Right? Let's say we have car. Inside the car dome, everything will be there. In the same way, here we have class. In the class body, we keep all the elements what we need. But class should have a name, otherwise we cannot recognize. Let's say we have car. car will be having a number, the unique car number, right? So based on the place, based on the state. In the same way, we are going to create many classes based on different requirements. To identify that, it should have some name. Okay, so class, and we have to mention the class name. So we are dealing with the rectangle. We want to calculate the perimeter, area, some of the calculations related to rectangle. So I'm giving the name as rectangle. Right? Whenever we create the class, the first line, class, space, the name of the class, what you want to give. The body, this is a block. Inside that we keep the elements. Right? Now I am saving. When you save, what will happen? We don't need to install anything to compile this code, right? Already in the cloud, already we logged into Salesforce. Internally in the background, already Salesforce they installed what is needed to execute this code. All we need to do, click on save. When you click on save, system will check for the syntax. If the syntax is correct, then only it will allow to save. Otherwise, it give error. At the time of saving the program, whatever the errors we see, we call those errors as compilation error. That means there is a syntax problem. The syntax is not correct, system will display the error. Okay, so I'm just clicking on quick save. We are seeing the error, right? Compile error, it is saying. That means there is a problem with the syntax. The error, what it is saying, top level type must have public or global visibility. So that is what it is saying, right? Top level class should have the public or global visibility. So if you see here, we discussed about the access modifiers, the visibility. So in general, the private means visibility, right? Private meaning is visibility within the same class. Okay. So in one of the class, if you define one element, so it can be a variable or it can be a method. Method means the reusable set of statements. So whatever we define, that can be only accessible within that class. If you have multiple classes, if there is a private variable, we cannot call that variable from other class. It's not visible. So that is private. Protected means visibility within the class and the related classes. We have a concept called inheritance. Using inheritance, we establish a relationship between the classes. We say parent and a child, parent class, child class. When there is a relation, right? So if you want to make the visibility within the same class and the related classes, that time we go with the protected, right? So this is visibility within the same class and the related classes, that we call as protected. When you say public, the technical terminology, from any class to any class. Let's say in our Salesforce organization, once we log in, we created 10 Apex classes. From any class to any class, you can access if the variable or the method or something we define as private, right? Visibility within the Salesforce organization, right? So whatever we logged in is one Salesforce org. All employees, all users who are part of this organization, they can log in and access, right? So visibility within the same org between any class. Okay, so that is public. Global means to make our code visible to even other platform application, maybe other Salesforce organization, other Java platform, maybe SAP platform, anything which is external. Okay, so this is visibility. Okay, so outside the Salesforce also, right? Outside the Salesforce org. Also, if you want to give, we go with the global. Okay, now here the error, whatever we are seeing, it is saying that it should be visible. It should be visible. I mean, it is saying the top level class, right? Top level class means when you click on new and when you are creating a class, that is a top level class. Top level class visibility should be public or global. That's what this error message it is saying. That means if you don't mention anything, when you define a class or when you define a variable or when you define a method, if you don't mention anything, the default access modifier is private, right? So here private is the default access modifier. That means if you don't mention anything, system by default treat as private. Okay, that's what is happening here. I did not mention whether the class is public or global or protected. By default, it is taking as private. Okay, but the rule is the top level class should be either public or global visibility. Mostly blindly we define the class with public, right? And also in the code, if you want to keep something in the comments, right, system won't check for the syntax, right? When I say comment, if you see this is single line commenting, after that whatever I keep, system won't check for the syntax. You can type whatever you want as a developer to understand few things. Okay, and here in order to save successfully, I'm defining as public. Now the top level class what we are creating is public, so it should allow now, right? So I'm just saving, right? So we created one of the Apex class successfully, right? Syntax wise it is correct. And also to include one more point, default access modifier is private, right? So when you have multi-line commenting, right, multiple lines of commenting, one more way of keeping the comments, we use a slash star, and where you want to end it, star slash. In between whatever you type, that will be commenting. This we say in general multi-line comment, right? So inside that you can keep however you want. Okay, system won't check for the syntax. We can write something, the notes or maybe why we are creating this class, all those things we can type in the comments. Okay, so just I'm just saving and it is saved. So that's it, right? Now when you see this class, so really nothing is required, right? Just we created and that nothing is there. It's like we have car dome, inside that engine nothing is there, right? So we have to fit it and make it use in a meaningful way, right? So now here our requirement is we need to calculate the area and the perimeter, right? Area and the perimeter of a rectangle. So for that we need some data as input, right? So maybe if you take car is having many features. You can start the car, you can apply the brake, you can open the door, you can do many things. But so what it primarily need, if it is a petrol or diesel car, diesel should be there. Otherwise, even though everything is there, it won't start, right? In the same way here for our program, data is like a fuel, right? It's like a petrol or whatever. Then only based on that only it can do something. Otherwise, it is nothing, right? So here to do the area or perimeter, we need length and breadth. those two values as input. Okay, without length or breadth, we cannot do the calculation. Now to hold length value, to hold breadth value, so we need to allocate the memory. To allocate the memory, so what we have to mention first? We have to mention the data type. Length is a number. Which type of number? You want to go with integer or you want to go with decimal? Let's say 2.7 is the perimeter. So if you want to support those kind of values, so which type we need to take? Decimal, right? We decide. So let's say the requirement is there is no way to maintain 2.7, something like this. Always they are maintaining 5, 10, 15, something like that. You can go with integer. Okay. So let's say they want the support for decimal. So I'll say decimal and the name of the memory, right? We say variable, right? So length. This is one variable. I can say again decimal, again one more variable. But same type, if you are defining in the same line, we say comma and we give that. Okay. So like that. You just save it. So when you write the program, few things are very, very mandatory. Few things are up to you. So for example, here I am giving line break, right? So if you don't want, don't give, still it will work. Okay. So here, if you don't want the space, it will be a problem, right? Because there should be a separation. Decimal is the data type and there should be a space and have to mention the name of the variable. Here also I'm giving space, right? That is optional. If you want, you can give, otherwise leave it. Otherwise, you can also give like this. Okay, few things. So for sure, we have to keep comma. If you don't keep comma again, it treat that everything is one variable, right? So just to get to know those things. So as a standard, right? If you see, if you write this line like this, what will happen? Still it will work. Okay, so if you remember, we discussed about indentation. Indentation means the programming standard. So whenever we have a block here, inside that if you are writing any statement, always inside the block, whatever statements we write, we give one tab space. We just press tab and maintain the space. If you don't maintain also, it will work. If someone see, then they will scold, right? Who developed this and something like this, right? So because bad code, really, if someone need to enhance your code, what we develop, it will be very, very difficult. That's why all the developers, they follow the standards. So we also need to make sure to maintain the standards. Okay, one of the standard is, so inside this block, whenever you write any statement, give one tab space. Okay, and also one of the naming convention, class name, right? It should be in the capital letters. Each and every word in a class should be in the capital letter. Let's say my first class, right? Each and everything is a capital letter. So that's the standard we follow. You don't see people creating the class starting with the camel case or something like this. So we use camel case for the variables. Camel case means starts with small letter and each and every word will be capital letter. But this one should be everything capital letters. Data type also everything in the capital letters. Okay? Even though you don't follow, it will work. But those are some standards. Just to get to know those things. Just for now it is saved, right? So now, so all these are the variables, right? Maybe first time we are developing. So all these are the variables, right? The variables which are at class level, right? Let's say class level variables. Okay, within this class, the visibility will be there by default, right? I did not mention, right? So which kind of visibility you want to give for these variables? I did not mention anything. If you don't mention anything, by default, private. Private means this we can only access within this program. That's the meaning. Okay, we'll anyway see how exactly it will work. Now we have the variables. Now we should have a right. So action, right? We should have a method by using this data to do some calculation. So we need one of the action, right? Action we call as method. Okay. So let's define a method. So I'm just defining method, right? So some methods I'm going to define. So methods are nothing but the actions, right? Variables is the data, right? The data what we supply. So now what is the syntax, right? Here we say syntax, the rules we have to follow as per the Apex programming language. The syntax is, so I want to define a method as public, right? I want to give the visibility as public. Okay, so you can define public. Okay, if you don't mention anything, by default it will be private. Let's say I'm defining as public. Public method should have the return type, right? That means after executing all the statements in the method, do you want to
Hello,
return
Srinu.
any value? Hello, yeah.
Yeah, Srinu, one question. So this access identifier, right? Can we do it for data types as well, like decimal? I'm sorry, I missed that you're telling something related to that, right?
Yes. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So before to this, if you want this also as public, you can also define like that. Okay.
Oh, okay.
If
Okay.
you don't mention anything, by default system treat those as private, right?
Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. Thanks.
Same way for method also. Keeping this access modifier is optional. If you don't want to use, don't use. System by default take this method as private. Okay. So after access modifier, or if you don't have access modifier, the next thing is the return type. So after executing all the statements, are you expecting any value in return? So we have to mention which type of value you are expecting. If you are not expecting anything, so that time we say return void, right? So it's like that. So do you want something in return? We mention the data type, which type of value you want in return. If you don't want anything, that time we say void. Okay. So let's say here I am saying void, right? Void means it execute all the statements inside that method, but it is not going to return any value for us after calling, right? So let's say you go to ATM, you have withdrawn the amount. It will ask, do you want to see your balance or you want to exit? If you say I want to see, then it will return the balance and you'll see that. If you say no, it won't return, like this. Okay. So if there is no need of returning something and show, we use void. Okay. If there is a requirement to get something in return after executing the method, we mention which type you want. That you will also define that. Okay. For now, I'm taking void, and just I'm giving the name of the method as show result. Okay, for method also we follow the camel case. Like a variable, how we follow the naming convention, same naming convention. But how we know it is a variable or method? Methods will be always having these brackets. Okay, variable we don't use any function bracket. Maybe these we call as function brackets. Okay, variable we don't use. For a method we use, right? So that's what will happen. Okay, so just now, just here I'm using a block and click on save, right? So this is a block. Here we are going to write some set of statements. So it is saved, right? So the thing is, whenever we use void, so there is a type of statement called return. No need to use any return statement. If you mention other than void, we need to include return statement. It's like that. Okay. So now inside this, all I'm going to do for now, just for our demo, what is the value present in this length and breadth? I want to print. In general, once you allocate the memory, and if you don't assign any value, the default value will be null, right? So just print the same thing and see, right? So to print in the console, I mean, in the debug log, right? Whenever we execute the Apex code, system generates the debug log. In debug log, if you want to print something in custom, we use system.debug. We use system.debug, and here we give. Okay. So here I want to print the value of the length. Right? This is the variable. So I'm accessing that and I'm printing that value. It will be null. In the same way, I'm using one more system.debug, and this time I'm referring this, and it is not having any value assigned. It will be null. And also in the debug log, when it is printed, if it says null, if it says null, we don't know why null, why we are printing that null. Maybe to understand in easy way. When I see this in the debug log, I want to understand this value for what we are printing. This value for what purpose we are printing. We can also append some text in a meaningful way to understand. Okay. So to write anything as a text within the program, we need to write inside the single quote. Inside the single quote, whatever we write, it is a text. So I want to print like this, length, colon, space. Okay, now if you see, this is a string, right? This is a string. Whatever inside single quote we keep, that is a string. The string value, length is a dynamic variable, right? It is a name given to the memory. In that name, any value can be there. It can be null, it can be 10, it can be 100. It's all based on what we store, right? So this is dynamic. We don't know what value will be there. It's all based on the user input and based on other factors. But we know that always this will be same, right? So that's why people say it is a static value. Static value means same. Dynamic means we don't know. The value can be anything, right? So if you have static value, if you have dynamic value, if you want to combine both, we have to combine by using a operator called plus, right? Plus is one operator. Using plus, we can do addition. If there are two numbers, if you add 10 plus 20, it gives the result as 30. We can also do concatenation. Concatenation means this string for this, beside that it will print this one. It is showing these two values together by combining together in one line. Okay. So in the same way here for breadth also, while printing, I want to see like this, right? That is your string, and for that, I'm appending the value present in that variable. Okay, that's it. And I'm not returning anything, right? Whenever we call this method, it executes these two statements and it is not going to return anything. Okay, this is just as a developer to understand. So what are the values present here? Okay, I'm just keeping and click on save. Okay, so now let's test it. Okay, before we add some other logic, so far what we created, we can test it. As a developer, if you want to test our program, right? So what we do, so we go to developer console. Okay, So click on gear icon, click on developer console. Maybe if you want to see in the, instead of in the new window, if you want to see here as a tab, you can hold control and click on this developer console. You see like this. And here always as a developer to debug and see how it is working, what we do, right? So we just click on debug, click on open execute anonymous window, like that, right? So here we can call that class and execute. Okay, so just understand that. Okay, so now the thing is how exactly we call this class, how many ways we can call this class. So one of the way is, as a developer, we are opening developer console and we are calling from here and understanding how this class is working. Maybe in reality, right, if someone is opening a website, right, that person don't know what is the program behind. So they want to click on a button, that time this logic should execute, right? So those things will be there before we develop those screens and connect this code to the page and all those things. As a developer, we need to test it and see how it is working, right? So just understand, okay? So maybe, right, it is like, let's say car, right? If you say car mechanic, so what they'll do, let's say car is not starting. What they'll do, so internally there is a device or something. A regular way is we keep the key and start it so that it will start. If it is not starting, we go to mechanic and that guy will open some part and internally start, right? That is not the official way, right? So as they, even though we have car, whatever they are doing that on day to day we cannot do, right? That guy know what is there inside that and where he need to see the problem and how he can start without the regular way, right? So we are like a mechanic here. We are the developer. We know what is happening inside this and we know how to call. So we are calling like this from here. But don't think that at the end of the day, no one will, as an end user, whoever is using the application, they cannot do like this. Okay, so since we are in the early stage, right? Early stage, we should see each and every stage how our program is working. This is the one of the way we open the debug log and from here we call and we execute and we try to understand how it is working. Okay, so don't think that this is the way we call this program. Okay, so we are very in the initial stage. Once everything is ready, then we can really see when you have a web page, when you click on a button, that time how exactly that will be called and how exactly it will work. Until we reach that stage, we'll be opening this one and trying to call and understand how it is going to work. Okay, so just understand about that. So now here to call the class, I told that class is a plan, right? Class is just it's like a plan on the paper. Car is not still ready, right? It is the car plan is there on the paper. So the physical existence of a car, right? By using material, by combining everything, finally car will be manufactured. That is like here we create the object. Here creating the object is like the physical existence of a car in our current example. Okay. So when you have the prototype, right? When you have the plan, how many cars they can manufacture? They can manufacture any number of cars, right? 100,000, 10,000, whatever, based on the need. In the same way, we have this class, we have this plan. You can call any number of times, whatever you want. Any number of times you can keep on call, right? Each time when we call, we create one object, right? So now from developer console, I'm creating one object for the class. That means by using the car plan, we are manufacturing one car. It's like that. So like that here is creating the object. right? So here I'll say object creation, right? This is in the comment, right? To know we are creating the object, just I am keeping that one. Okay, system won't compile this, right? So now here we are writing to create the object for the class name. So what is the name of the class? That class name. And we have to create the instance of that class, right? We have to create a variable. If you go back and see the primitive data types and the non-primitive data types, I also told that class is a non-primitive data type, right? If you see here the non-primitive data type, I also told that Apex class is a non-primitive data type, right? Here our Apex class name is rectangle, right? I also told one thing. If you want to assign anything into that non-primitive variable, we cannot directly assign. It only take the reference, right? The memory location where the information is there. It cannot take the direct data, right? Always we have to use equal to, we have to allocate the memory by using the new operator, right? On top how I created same way, right? And here the name of the class in general, right? So same thing here we are doing. You can say it is a non-primitive variable. That is also correct. You can say it is the object for the class. Okay, when you in the prospect of object-oriented programming, if you are talking, we call this one as a object, right? So for object, so we have to create the instance of the class and store that reference into that. Okay, so here this is the class name, this is the name of the object. The new operator will be responsible to allocate the memory for the variables which are defined in that class. Here whatever I am going to mention, this part we call as constructor. Okay, so what is this constructor? The thing is, when we create the class, keeping the constructor is optional. Okay, in general, even though we don't mention the constructor, okay, system internally maintain a constructor like this, right? So let's say class is public, right? Public, and whatever the name of the class is there, same name. The constructor name should be same as the class name, and we give the bracket, and this is the body. Inside that we can write multiple statements. Even though we don't define, internally like this, it will be there. By default, system maintain this internally. Defining this is not required. Even though we don't define, this is how internally system maintains the constructor. Okay, if you define, what is the advantage? If you define, you can write some statements, right? Here, inside that I can write whatever as per the need. If you don't mention, no statements will be executed in the constructor. Okay, so this is what we are calling. Okay, so and also we can create the multiple constructors. Okay, now here, for now I am not keeping anything in this constructor. If you want, you can also keep. For example, so I want to assign this length value and the breadth value with 0 in the constructor. Okay, I can just say length is equal to 0, breadth is equal to 0, right? Some statements I am writing. Okay, in the same way, what I am trying to show you, we can create multiple constructors. Okay, so I can also again say public constructor name should be same as the class name. But when we say we can create multiple constructor, there should be a difference with the number of parameters, right? Parameters means the inputs what we expect for this inside this function bracket. So this is not accepting anything. If you use the same name and defining one more constructor, here there should be a variation in the number of inputs what it is going to accept. So let's say here I'm defining, so we are planning to use this constructor by supplying length and breadth. Okay, length means again which type? Decimal, right? I'm saying decimal, I'm saying length, right? Again, I'm saying again one more input, I'm saying breadth, like this, something like this I'm doing, right? So now if you see, we have two constructors, right? But there is a variation. Here there are no inputs. Here there are two inputs it is expecting. Okay. So now inside this constructor, so what we do, so whatever the length we have, that one, whatever class level variable we have, that length, we are assigning with the whatever while calling this constructor, whatever supplied with that. Let's say if they supply 100 we are assigning to this length. In the same way for breadth, if they supply 20, we are assigning that to breadth, like that, right? So like this. Now, so this is about the constructor. This one, if the constructor not accepting any inputs, we call that one as default constructor. The constructor which is accepting some of the inputs, we call as parameterized constructor. Okay, like that. So now, just I am trying to just to save it. So far, syntax is correct. If there is some problem with what we are writing, it will throw the error, right? It is saved. That means syntax wise it is correct. Now, why I am defining these constructors? While creating the object, this place is for the constructor. When you have multiple constructors, which constructor you want to call, that will be decided here. Okay, now when we create this object, right? So we are using this constructor, right? We are not supplying any inputs. So that means we are calling that constructor. Let's say I want to call this constructor. If you want to call, this is expecting two inputs. Okay, so two numbers we need to supply. Okay, so let's say here I'm supplying 10, right? One decimal. Decimal means you can also give, let's say I can also say 50.5. Right? Decimal means it also allow the decimal digits. If you want, you can also give the number. It's up to you. Okay, so now the meaning is while creating this object, we are invoking this constructor, right? Constructor which is accepting two numbers. And technically, right? So for now we are saying inputs. Technically, if at all, if you want to call in the program, here this one whatever we have, this one whatever we have, right? So we call as parameters. Okay, this constructor is accepting two parameters. The first parameter should be in the decimal type. Second parameter should be in the again decimal type. From here we are calling the constructor, right? While calling whatever the values we supply, these things we call as arguments. We are supplying 10 as a argument for the len parameter. We are supplying 50.5 as the argument for the BRTH, this parameter. But technically, we can say like that. But people also say this one also parameter. Okay, that is fine. You have to understand. You should be ready to understand. But the proper thing is while supplying values, while invoking Whatever the values we supply, those we call as arguments. While defining to accept that time, whatever we have, those we call as parameters. Okay. So now this place is for the constructor. That's what I want you to understand. Okay. Now for
Sorry.
now, yeah. Yes.
Suppose if I entered in two constructors that variables, so which one we call here?
Here you can only mention one constructor. So how do you call two constructors?
Can you go back to that constructor, that program?
Okay.
So here length is 5 and below constructor length is 10. So which one it will call on developer?
So the above constructor is not accepting any parameter, right? So there are no parameters. How do you supply 5? That is my
Directly I will assign in the constructor only. Length equals to 5.
So directly if you give 5, okay, let's say here I am giving 10, right? So let's say here I am giving 10.
Okay.
So I'm saying when you create the object, here since you mentioned this one, it is going to call only this constructor, right? Because we are supplying two inputs. It won't execute the above one, right?
Okay,
Any
it
one
will
you can
ignore
call.
the.
Yeah,
Okay.
it will ignore. So whatever you call, it will only go and execute that block. Calling two constructors at a time from the object is not possible. Okay.
Okay. Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So just understand that. For now, I don't want to supply anything, right? So that means this what it will be executing. This will be executing this, right? We did not supply anything. All statements inside this will be executed. I think you can stay on mute if you don't have any questions. Okay, please stay on mute.
Shrinu, I have one question here.
Yeah.
So yeah, related to this instantiation, right? So for example, if we want to call two constructors, right? So can't we create like this, for example, class name rectangle space with a different name? Like previously I have mentioned RECT, right? I can specify RECT1 and I can specify is equal to new rectangle and I don't pass any parameters, right? So if I want to use that,
that means you are creating the two objects, right? I am saying when you create one object, you can call only one constructor, right? It is like, let's say you are buying a car. There is a black color and there is a white color. Only those options are there, not by mixing both, right? So you need to choose any one. So you want white color, so you need to buy that white color car, right? So that means we need to create one object by choosing that. If you want a black color car also, you need to buy two cars. That means we need to create two objects and we will be having both. It's like that. Okay. So just to understand, with one object at a time, we can only invoke any one of the constructor. Okay. If you want to call other one, okay, you create one more object that also will be maintaining. It's like that. Okay. So for now here, it's like we manufactured one car, right? So let's say we choose this type by default, right? So that means the length and the breadth values will be initialized with 5 and 0 as per what we write here, right? So now object is ready, car is ready. So we need to operate a car, right? So first you need to open the door, right? Whatever the options we have in the car, as per that we can operate. So for our example, we have only one action we can do. For now, only one action is there. We need to develop many more actions, right? For now, we have only one method, the reusable action. This one, if you want to call, you have to call through object, right? If you want to start the car, you need to enter into car and start it, right? So without communicating with the car, you cannot do anything, right? So in the same way here, through object, we have to call the actions or the variables, whatever we define in the class. Okay. So now this is the object. Using this, I'm going to call only one action is available for us for now, that is show result. I want to call that, right? The action name is show result, and it is not accepting any argument. From here, while supplying, we say argument. So while defining, we say it is a parameter, right? So for now, there is no parameter defined. That means no need to supply any argument from here. Okay. So now, if you execute, what will happen? It will construct an object. Right? Maybe if you take the car example, it will create one car. In that, there is one action is there, show result. It will be calling that. It's like that. Okay. So this object is created, and in that object, whatever the action show result is there, that will be executed. So due to this line, these lines will be executed. After that, due to this line, object name dot method name, due to that, this will be executed. This is the method, right? So here what we are doing, we are printing the length value and the breadth value to console, the debug log. In the log we are printing. Okay. So now what will be printed as length? Right, I am saying in the first line, due to this rectangle, the default constructor, this will be executed, right? When this is executed, it is keeping length value as 5, and it is keeping breadth value as 0, right? That means when you, after that, when you call this one, when this is called, by that time, the value of the length will be 5, and the value of the breadth will be 0. That's what we see in the debug log. Really that is happening or not? We are doing some manual testing, right? We are calling and we are executing and understanding, is it really happening like that? Make sure to maybe check this open log and click on execute. Internally it will call this code, right? And all the things system write in the log, right? This is a debug log. So if you want to print what we printed, what we kept as system.debug, if you want to only see that, we click on debug only. Okay, here you are seeing, while printing, right, if you remember, we are printing length colon. If you go back to class and see, while printing, we are saying length colon space, right? After that, the length value is 0, right? I think it is coming as 0. Something wrong. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm expecting length value as 5, right? But I am seeing length value as 0. Somewhere something is wrong. Let's go to that program. And so here, length. So here, basically, this is the length. 5 we are giving, breadth we are giving 5, right? So did I save this? I think I did not save. That's the problem. Okay, let's save it. We made some change, but we did not save. That's why. Okay, just to save it. Now again check it. Again run it. Now it is generating the log, and click on debug only. Now you are seeing length is 5 and the breadth is also, breadth is 0, because here we are giving us 0. So it is working as per what we are expecting, right? Let's say I want to create one more object. It is possible. I can create one more object, but so it should have some uniqueness, right? So when the car is manufactured, they give some unique engine number and some unique thing they generate to identify the car, right? In the same way, here we have one class, and when you are creating multiple objects, each object name should be different to differentiate. Okay, here I'm giving the object name as rect2. Okay, so while creating this object, I want to invoke this constructor. Okay, let's say if you want to go with the same constructor, it's up to you. But I want to call this constructor. If you want to call this constructor, how we call? So this is a constructor. The constructor is defined with 2 parameters. We need to supply the arguments to each parameter, right? Let's say I'm supplying 10 and I'm supplying 20, right? So when this statement is executed, what will happen? When this is executed, it is going to call this one, and the length is 10. It will assign the length as 10 and the breadth as 20, whatever we are supplying. Now after that, if you call this, you'll be seeing length as 10 and breadth as 20. Okay, let's see. Right, when you call, you need to call with this object name, right? So if you forget to change it and if you give like this, it's like we are operating the first one, not this one, right? So if you want to invoke something inside this object, you need to invoke through that object, like to dot show result. So in the debug, first you see 50, and after that, due to this object, you'll be seeing 10 and 20. Okay, so let's execute. Click on execute. Click on debug only, and if you see, you are seeing 5 and 0, and this is due to second object 10 and 20, whatever we are supplying, it is calling, right? So like that. So if you want to create 10 objects or 20 objects or whatever you want, we can create. Okay, but all we create as per the requirement. For now, just we are understanding if there is a requirement to create multiple objects, there is a requirement to call a different constructor, how we do, just we are playing with that. In reality, as per the requirement, we get to know how many times we need to call that and what we have to do. Okay, so just understand this one. And the next thing, right? So here we are defining 2 constructors, right? Same constructor name, both constructors having same name, but there should be a difference with the number of parameters, or at least with the data type of the parameter. Okay, let's say I can also define one more constructor with the same name. I can say integer length and integer breadth. Okay, it will accept. Okay, either there should be difference with the number of parameters, or there should be a difference with the data type. Okay, then only system accept. Simply if I copy paste and I want to have one more, and here I want to keep something, it will throw error. Okay, right? So method already defined and it is saying, right? So those points we should know. And now this concept we call as polymorphism. Okay, if you see our OOPS concepts, if you go back and see, we have polymorphism. So polymorphism means, the meaning is different behavior of the elements in a program. Different behavior of the elements in a program we call as polymorphism. So what is that? I'll explain. So as part of the polymorphism, we have overriding and we have overloading. Okay, now whatever we are seeing the constructor, right? We have the constructor, 2 constructors with the same name. We are overloading. That means here there is no parameter. Here we are adding extra, right? So if you do like that, that we call as overloading, right? So same element name is same, rectangle. It is a constructor, but one constructor is not accepting any parameter, the other constructor accepting the parameters. But while referring, we refer with the same name. But if you don't supply anything, it is going to behave differently. If you supply some inputs, here it behaves differently. Same constructor is behaving in a different way based on the parameters what we supply. That we call as constructor overloading. Okay, that we call as constructor overloading. In the one more example, if you see here, plus means I told that it will do the addition, right? If you see here, this is a string. For that, I am using plus, and here I am adding one number value, right? It is a decimal value. String plus decimal, if you combine with plus operator, it will concatenate. It cannot do the addition. But if I keep two numbers, right here, if I say breadth plus, right, if I say breadth plus length, it will add both and give the result. Same plus operator, in one place it is doing addition, in other place it is doing concatenation. So this we call as operator overloading, right? Same operator, but behaving differently based on the place where we use. So these are some of the examples of the overriding, which are as part of the polymorphism. Okay, so we say operator overloading. The plus operator is one of the example. Okay, so these are few things. So since we don't have time, tomorrow I'm going to define few more methods, right? So if you don't want to use void, how we define a type, the time how the syntax will be, and what is the purpose of constructor and what is the purpose of method. Obviously there is a difference, right? What is that? We'll see all those things tomorrow. Okay, since we don't have time, and also since we are going to, if you keep here, this is not permanent. Okay, maybe next time if you log out and log in, this might not be there. Okay, this is just that point of time if you type something and execute for that purpose. But this class, whatever we saved, it will be there forever until we delete, right? So now, since I don't want to lose that in the comments, I'm also keeping what we wrote in the developer console, so that tomorrow we copy from here and continue. Okay, now I'm saving, and that's it. This is saved. Now the next part is, so already if you are part of the admin training, already you have access to this class account and you know how to access this class account. So once, right, I'm going to provide one URL here. If you are new to directly, if you are joining for the development, I'll be dropping one email by tomorrow. You need to open this URL and enter your email address which you registered for this training. Okay, so once you log in, it will be connected to this class account. Okay, in this class account, to see this code, in general, to see the nodes, you need to click on this app launcher and search for dev nodes. In the dev nodes, whatever I am typing, right here, whatever I am typing, I'm updating. I'll also show you how we connect going forward. Whatever here I am typing, everything you can see in these nodes. Okay, but to see the code what we created, okay, once you log into this account, right, once you enter your email address and once you log into this, so don't look into nodes. Okay, so all you need to do, you need to click on setup, left side, search for Apex classes. Okay, go to Apex classes, click on Apex classes, and here you can see the code. Okay, not only today, going forward, whatever the programs I am creating, once you log into this account, right? So from here, you enter your email address, login, and it will be connected here. Left side, search for Apex classes, and you see the code, right? Let's say you want to see the code, just you can click on this, and you can see the code. In worst case, if you want to have in your local system, click on download. If you click on download, it will be downloaded. If you want, we can open with some of the Notepad or Notepad++, and maybe you can copy paste in our account, or you can, I don't recommend you to copy paste. Type line by line, right? Same thing, whatever we discussed. Don't try to look into this and try to type by your own. If you are not able to move forward, again come back and see, and again type. So that way only you can easily learn it and you can connect. Okay. So tomorrow we continue with the other progress, the next part of this program. Yeah, any questions before ending? Any questions?
Srinu,
Yeah,
one,
Srinu.
one small question here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you please go to the program? Yeah. Yeah. So whenever
This
we
is
are
the program.
assigning, right? Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
here, like you have assigned length equal to len, right, in the second constructor.
Yeah. 1 second. Yeah. Length equal to.
Len, yeah. So this len parameter, like whatever variable len is there, that we are putting, like, that we are defining in the basically in the method here,
Class level variable.
class.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, constructor. So whenever we define any parameters in the constructor, like how, like the assignment, how it will work, left to right or right to left. Because here len is there. So len we are assigning to length, or the length we are assigning to len. This always I get confused in the programming language.
Yeah. So assignment means always right hand side value to left hand side. Right. Not only this programming, any programming, right? In our mathematics also, right? Always when you say equal to, right side value will be assigned to left side.
Okay.
Always
So in
the behavior will be same.
Okay,
Okay.
then if in case if we are using the same name, like for example, like we are using decimal length again, the same name we are using. If we are doing the variable overloading here, length again we are using, and the decimal breadth the same name. So here we will use this keyword, right? Usually, like whenever it is
Yes.
having the
Yeah.
same
That
name.
that is, yeah. That I'm going to. I have that also to explain. I'll
Okay,
explain that.
okay then.
Okay.
Okay then, fine.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Srinu, one question.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, you have written public void, right?
Yes. Yes. So
Uh,
what is your question?
so public
I
void
have
shows
written.
that.
Yeah.
Can you explain that once again? So we
So
wrote void, right? But still, when you are like writing system debug in that result.
okay. So I mean, so what is your question? I did not understand. You did not understand
So
the
why?
syntax.
That's correct. That's correct. So why did we write void again here?
Yeah. So only one time I use it, right? So when you
Yes,
define a
yes.
method, okay, there will be two situations. Just you want to execute all the statements present in that method, and you are not expecting anything, okay, in return. So that time we use void. Here, all I want to print in that log. I'm not returning any
Okay.
calculation or calculation result, right? Just I'm using void. So let's say I'm multiplying length and breadth. I'm multiplying this length and breadth, and the result of the multiplication I want after calling that method, right? I call that method, it should execute the logic, whatever the result is there after the calculation, it should return that. And I want to use that for the other statement. If we have like that, that time we mention the return type and we return that value. Now here I don't want to use any value what this method returns, because here just all we are doing is printing in the log. Okay. So when you have like that, since I am not expecting any value to get in return after calling this method, okay, we use void. Okay. So if you are returning something or if you are not returning something, always we have to mention the return type. When you mention return type void means it execute all the statements and there is no need of getting some value in return after calling. That is void. After executing the lines, I want some resultant value in return. So that time we mention the return type. Tomorrow I'll also take that other type. That time you will understand how exactly it works and how exactly it returns. Okay.
So one more
Yeah.
question. So in the last line we wrote system.debug length. We have mentioned in the string, right? And after everything you wrote plus length. What exactly that mean?
So here this is a string. When it is printing in the debug log, right now, if you see here, you are seeing in the debug log, how you want to see in the debug log. Okay, so I want to see length colon space, right, as it is, so that I can easily identify. So what exactly we are printing. Okay, so
Yeah, but instead of length dot colon, we can write anything, right? Like just in case if you want area something else, we can write it out, right? Just we are.
yeah, it
I
is
mean,
just for our identification, right? Whatever you want, we can write. Okay, as
okay.
a developer, whatever
Oh,
you feel you can recognize that value, why we are printing,
yeah.
you can
Now
use that.
I understood, Srinu. I thought we are mentioning again that variable length over there. So if you
Yeah,
say
it's not
like
like that.
we can. Okay, I understood that. So
Yeah.
once we mention like whatever the information we needed, and after that we need to after that plus we need to enter what exactly need to be
This,
done, right?
yeah, this
Yeah,
actual
the
value.
parameters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Srinu. And
Yeah.
you mentioned right like above the parameterized constructor, we no need to mention that thing, right? Default constructor. Without mentioning the default constructor, we can still call it, right?
Yes. Yes. So if you don't want this default constructor, don't define. Only define this one. Okay. That time, what will happen when you create the object? For sure, we have to supply two numbers. Okay.
Yeah.
So when
But without supplying two numbers, we can directly call default constructor, right?
see, if you don't define any constructor here, by default you can call the constructor with this signature. But if you introduce one of the parameterized constructor, what will happen? If you don't define this one, the default constructor won't be available. It will throw error. Okay.
Okay. For parameterized constructor, we need to like you mentioned default constructor as well in the Apex class. That is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me show you. Okay. So now this is the class, right? So
Yes.
now in this class, if you don't mention any constructor while calling the object, while creating the object, you can invoke the default constructor. That means I can write like this. Okay, it is acceptable.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say I'm defining a parameterized constructor, and at that time I'm not defining default constructor. You can stay on mute. I think after your question, you can stay on mute. Okay. So now, if you see here, now I have defined the parameterized constructor, but I did not define the default constructor. Now, what I am saying, since you define the parameterized constructor, when you define that, default constructor won't be available unless you define manually. Okay. Now, if I try to execute this line, right? I'm trying to invoke the default constructor, but it is not there. And we defined a parameterized constructor. Now it will throw error, right? Constructor not defined. Okay. So that will be available only if you don't define any constructor. That time that will be available. It's like that. Okay. So any other questions?
Understood, Srinu.
Okay. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.